Good evening and God bless you. Thank you so much for joining us for this Thursday edition of the Evening Word. My name is Pastor Ronald Jennings, and again, it is my pleasure to share with you in this devotional moment. Tonight, I want to talk to you about love, and it's been for me an emotional last couple of hours. I just was reflecting on the last year and a half, and the number of people who I personally know, people who I grew up with, people who I went to school with, people who I played football with growing up for the Buffalo Vets. Shout out to all the Buffalo Vets, both current and past. Um, So just doing a lot of reflecting and thinking about all those people who are no longer here. These are not people who are old or who were old or older, in the twilight years of their life. These were young men and in some cases young women who are not here. Many of them as a result of COVID, some because of other health issues, a few, because of tragedy. But the point is, they're not here anymore. And what I really began to focus in on was their families, their wives, their children, in a few cases, their husband and their children. And just got a real deep sense of gratitude, if you will, that God has blessed me with another day and with another opportunity to love my wife and to love my family and to love the people who are important to me. And so I want to talk tonight about love, because as the song says, what the world needs now, when you look around, is love. When you consider all that's going on in the world, the tragedies, the injustice, the family chaos that so many people are experiencing. I mean, we're in a time of transition. We're in a time of groaning, where we have to make some choices about who we're going to be, what's going to be our legacies individually, collectively. What will people say about us when we're gone? We're having to make some very tough decisions about habits and behaviors and narratives, as I was posting earlier on social media. We make all these narratives up of, to justify who we are and how we think and our worldview, and they're really false narratives, right? But when you have an encounter with Jesus, when you look through the Gospels, nobody leaves him the same when they have an encounter. And so love is at the center of this. The scripture says that God is love. And so at a very real level, some would say a deep level, but yet real level, without love, you can't have God. And if you have God, then your mode of being is love. And so I want to share with you, now when you talk about love, our desire to understand love is something that is obvious. When you look at the number of books written about it, when you look at the number of articles, talk shows, radio shows, podcasts, sermons, lessons dedicated to the topic, we all are searching for, because there's something in us innate. There's something in us that we're born with that says that we ought to have love and that we ought to be loving. It is one of the essential elements to our life if we're going to have a life that's filled with happiness, a life that's filled with fulfillment. And so the question, I guess, a good starting point is, what is love, right? And we can play around with definitions. We can use the dictionary. We can look at philosophy, but I'm a preacher, so I go to the Word in terms of what love is, and in the Word we find some examples of what love is, and there are three words that I want to use from the Greek. The Koine Greek, or the biblical Greek. It's the word phileo, and so it describes friendship that is strengthened by shared experiences. We have the word agape, which is used to describe the pure love that is unconditionally expressed as an act of the will. And then we have eros, which means sensual love that is stimulated by our senses, right? And so you have these levels, these words, but probably the best description, I'm going to get right to it, is in 1 Corinthians 13. God gives a very clear description of love. And here's what he says. He said, love never gives up. Love cares for others more than for self. Love doesn't want what it doesn't have. Love doesn't strut, doesn't have a swelled head, doesn't force itself on others. It isn't always me first, doesn't always fly off at the handle, doesn't keep score of the sins of others, doesn't revel when others grovel, takes pleasure in the flowering of truth, puts up with anything, trusts God always looks for the best, never looks back, but keeps going to the end. Love never dies. And that's the Message translation. Love never dies. And so, say what the world needs is love. And what you and I need, what our families need, what our marriages need, what our children need, what our churches need, what our cities need is love, right? We are all searching for this. We all deep down desire to be embraced. That's why we enjoy worship so much, because it is in that moment of worship where we are enveloped in the embrace and the love of God our Father. And while nothing can compare to that embrace and that level of love that comes from the God whom we serve, it is our challenge, it is our mandate to seek out ways in which we can love. And so I was just thinking about love today, and I want to, I gave you definition. We got eros and phileo and agape being the highest level. We have the love verses in 1 Corinthians 13. But let me give you just some practical things to think about. And then I'm going to end with a quote. The first thing that I was thinking about is that love really is a gift. I think about John 3:16. We all know the verse. God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son. And so love is a gift, and love drives and motivates us to give gifts, but deeper than that, love is the gift. More than money, more than words, the greatest gift you can give to your husband, the greatest gift you can give to your wife, the greatest gift you can give to your children, to your family, to your brothers, to your mothers, to your fathers, to your sisters, is love. Again, look at the definitions. Phileo, friendship that comes from shared experiences, doing life with each other. Eros, we typically think about it in terms of a relationship between husband and wife, sexual, but the definition talks about the senses. So Khalil Gibran talks about, when you love somebody, you think about them, you touch them, you feel for them, right? So love is a gift. Love is unconditional. It's not superficial. It's not a transactional emotion where I love if you do, or I give if you. Love is unconditional. When I think about God, there's nothing we can do for him. Not really. Yet he loves us. That is the ultimate example of unconditional love. And so when you look around your life, do you love the people who can't do anything for you? Do you love people without a transaction having to be incurred or occurring? Right? Love is unconditional. Love and one of my favorite R&B singers, adult R&B singers, Kim, I think he sums this up in a very small portion of one of my favorite songs. He says, and he's talking about falling in love. He says, "Oh Lord, I feel like I'm dying," right? So he finds the person whom he loves, and literally he's dying, or not literally, but there are those things about him that need to die. And so love, in a sense, is a death. And it's a death very specifically of the ego. It's not about me. It's not about, my image. It's not about my reputation. It's not about my needs. It's not about how I can benefit. Love, true love, it's the death of the ego. And when I look at marriages, let me just minister there for a moment. So many marriages are struggling because they're so full of ego. Folk come into the situation with their minds made up, with their heels dug in, with their own set of morals and rules and values, and their whole life planned out. And then you want to bring somebody else in to the mix of that without any room for negotiation or compromise or death. Love is it is the death of the ego. In so many marriages, so many interactions would be improved measurably, markedly, tangibly, if we would let death come because of love to the ego. Love doesn't ask for anything in return. That's right out of the Corinthians reading, right? And that's when we got to be careful with, because some would say, well, then, do I just let people keep using me? I'm not talking about that. Don't let people use you and drain you and dump on you and abuse you emotionally or physically and otherwise. But love doesn't ask for love in return. Right? Love seeks to serve and trust that it will gain the harvest that it plants. Love, again, just sharing with you things that I'm thinking aloud, right? Love is what makes success. In other words, if you possess everything, money, cars, fame, but lack love, you don't have nothing. And countless number of celebrities would attest to this. The depression they go through, people who are suicidal and trying to medicate the pain because they don't have love in their life. They got stuff, but they don't have love. Love builds bridges between hearts, but where there was no clearing or no point of identifying love. And so I just want to encourage you to love, and I told you I would end with the quote, and the quote that I want to end with, and I never knew who said this. I had to look this up, but this is what came to me when I was thinking this afternoon. And the quote is, "Don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today." That quote was by Benjamin Franklin. I've heard that my whole life, didn't know that to the day, Benjamin Franklin, right? But then I thought about the gospel song by the Wayans. It says tomorrow. And one of the lyrics in that song, and that song is talking about salvation, accepting Christ, but let me just take it and slide it into this lesson. It says, because tomorrow it may very well be too late. Right? And so don't put off tomorrow what you can do today, because tomorrow may be too late. Love the people in your life. You hear me, husbands? Love your wives. Love your children. You hear me, wives? Love your husband. Love your children. Parents, love your children. Children, love your parents. Love your families. Church members, love the people who God has called you to be with. Love your leaders. Leaders, love your sheep. Love your parishioners. Don't put off tomorrow what you can do today, because tomorrow might be too late. I want you to get that tonight. I want you to feel it the way I felt it, and I've been feeling all day long. I'm going to love to the point where it may embarrass me. I'm talking about lavishing the people in my life. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to. And we love in different ways, and I'm not telling you to go out and do X, Y, Z, but love, share experiences, love people with your hands, touch them, be affectionate with your mind, think about them with your heart, pray for them, love them unconditionally, agape. Because what this world needs right now is love. Money is helpful. I take the money. I take the end of all the injustice. And here's the thing: if we get love, then all these other things will be taken care of. So whether you're talking about your family, whether you're talking about your church, whether you're talking about society as a whole, if we get back to loving each other the way that we need to, we'll see God's kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. And so I just want to stop there tonight, and I want to look in the camera, and I want to tell you, whoever you are, I love you. And more importantly, God loves you, because God is love. And so let's start a new challenge. Let's start a love challenge. where we compete with one another, out loving each other. God bless you tonight. Thank you so much for being with us. Again, this is the Elam Church. We are the place where love wins, the place of refreshing. I just encourage you